3 days to go until the start of Broncos training camp. We're talking all things secondary, as this offseason we saw Chris Harris Jr. exit and we saw A.J. Bouye enter. Hello, and thank you for joining us as we continue our Countdown to Camp series. I'm Phil Milani alongside Sidney Jones and Eric Dalala. Guys, we know the top two corners right now are A.J. Bouye and Bryce Callahan, but who will emerge as that third cornerback? Sidney, let's start with you.
I think it's going to be Michael Ojemudia. With his size, his speed, he's versatile enough to play that third cornerback position and succeed, I think. In his final 2 seasons at Iowa, his game really developed, and he showed his ability not only to thrive in zone coverage, but also man. So he's my pick for that third cornerback spot.
And he's the first defensive player the Broncos took in the draft. Vic Fangio really liked his tackling ability. That's one thing we know, that corners in this defense got to be able to tackle. Eric, though, they have a few young cornerbacks that they think might be able to develop. Guys like Duke Dawson, Devontae Harris, Devontae Bosby. You think one of those guys is the answer?
Yeah, Phil, I mean, as we're talking about the third cornerback position, it's really who is going to play outside when Bryce Callahan shifts into the nickel. And so when you look at that, I think Devontae Bosby is the clear option here, at least to start the season. I think you'd like Michael Ojemudia to develop as the year goes along, but week one, I'm guessing Bosby is going to be out there. He showed some promise last year, and he really filled that spot for the Broncos until he suffered that neck injury against the Chargers in week 5. A promising player, obviously led the AAF in interceptions during his brief stint there, and then signed with the Broncos. He showed some promise, but Phil, I think there might be another option, which would be to add a veteran guy. I wouldn't rule that out at this point.
They might want to see what they've got at the start of camp here with some of these younger guys. We heard Vic Fangio say, look, they're at that point where they need to prove they belong in the NFL. So maybe somebody takes a step up here, or, they go out and get a vet, because we're not even sure what to expect from a guy like Bryce Callahan, too. So we might be getting ahead of ourselves saying who's the third cornerback.
As the question is who will emerge as the third cornerback, I think overall it's going to be Ojemudia towards the end of the season. Like I said, I think he still has a lot to improve upon to play at the next level, but I think he's going to emerge and kind of seal that third quarterback spot from him. But it's definitely going to be a battle. Who knows what's going to happen when training camp comes around.
Eric, you got an idea of who a vet might be that they go out and sign?
Logan Ryan's still out there. I think that's probably a little bit of wishful thinking. Darqueze Dennard is still out there from Cincinnati. Dre Kirkpatrick, just some good options that, maybe it's like that Adam Jones signing a couple of years ago that you make late in camp once you kind of figure out where you are at the position. But cornerback's interesting to me because you've got some guys like Isaac Yiadom, Duke Dawson, Devontae Harris. Those could be guys that are the third cornerback, or they could not make the roster. And so everybody's really bunched pretty closely here. And so, while things are pretty solidified at a lot of other positions, you could see 3 or 4 guys drastically change their stock on this roster in terms of making it or not.
Yeah, it's going to be a big camp for those guys you just mentioned there. Cornerback depth was an issue last year at the end of the season after some injuries, but we'll see what happens if the Broncos did enough by just getting Ojemudia in the draft. All right, that's going to do it for this Countdown to Camp episode. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be looking at the left tackle competition between Garrett Bowles and Elijah Wilkinson. Until then, for Sidney Jones and Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milani.